mode, that is, if it's written or spoken, if it's written for internet, if it's written for a text message, etc. This constellation of factors will determine the kind of choice of language in the text. So the use of you here is newspaper register, not academic register. But there's a lot of other academic register stuff in here. So these texts, I think, are actually quite good for students who are studying academic reading and writing as a way of moving them towards texts which are going to be longer and more difficult. Because it has a lot of features, like the lexical features of academic text, but it's slightly more newspapery. So they need to know that, so they don't replicate these features in another register. So this is what I'm talking about. So one of the things, I would say that there's, well, this is how I broke it down, that the macro structure, if you like, of this kind of text. There's the little headline, mustn't forget that. There's the kind of research finding, but which, as Isabel points out, is designed to engage you. And then there's a summary of the research. So, well, there's a kind of, apart from the headline, there's a two-part structure. The language, as Isabel correctly pointed out, that's typical in the first part is the use of the present tense and you, and then the research, unsurprisingly, the past tense and the pronoun, the favored pronoun here is they. Anything else that you found? Any other grammatical or any linguistic features you found that seem to be common to all the texts?
There's lots of non-animated subject in the research.
Oh. Are there? Exactly. I hadn't noticed that. So this is really interesting, and this is really important. What is the subject of the sentences? Is it people or is it things? Is it, and that's often will vary according to the kind of text. You read the text about Joe, Thornley, and Ilkley, it's going to be people, people, people will be the subjects of all the sentences because it's a people-related text. Whereas this register requires different kinds of focus. So I hadn't noticed that. One thing I noticed was the use of modality, all these expressions of likelihood, and a whole range of different ways of saying it's likely, it's possible. Tend to, more likely, may, can, could, is likely to. So this suggests for students who want to be able to read this kind of text and write this kind of text, they need a repertoire of modality expressions to express possibility, probability. Anything else? Anything formulaic that's actually little expressions that are repeated across these texts? You probably didn't have a chance to. Yes, exactly. Research published, research published, research published. It's almost like, it is, it's formulaic. Research published, so meaning research which has been published in, research published, research published, research published. So that's, again, writing this kind of text is a useful thing to know. Anything else?
According
to. That's repeated, is it? And that's exactly, would be typical of this kind of text, that we were reporting other people's research. This was another one that I noticed. Colleagues, somebody and his colleagues, they studied or they measured or they found. Again, so that suggests that the same person probably wrote these 4 different texts, because these are kind of formulaic ingredients, but probably could or could not be useful. So this is what's sometimes called text analysis or text comparison or genre analysis or whatever. It's a way of, again, focusing on repeated features, repetition, repetition, repetition of features of text this time, not so much of vocabulary. But it's using text both as a model for writing, but also to help students get used to particular kinds of registers. So we are helping students read this kind of text, in a sense, because we're showing them how this text is organized. If they're not used to this kind of text, then this is... Now, you don't have to use scientific text. You can use fairy tales. You can use jokes. You can use all sorts of things. We'll be using some in the workshop tomorrow, my workshop, that are much more accessible than this kind of text. I'm just trying to sort of up the ante a little bit and show how we can use texts that are fairly academic and technical in the classroom in ways which are helpful. Okay, and then one more just point about repetition that I want to make is repetition within a single text, and this is really important. We tend to discourage students from repeating themselves. I don't know, I was told at school, don't repeat yourselves when you write. Don't repeat yourself. Think of new words. Think of synonyms. It's a stylistic thing, a literary device. You mustn't say the same word twice. In fact, when you look at good writing, there's a massive amount of repetition, and that's what makes the writing cohesive. It holds it together because of repetition. Here's another text about my favorite subject, it seems, which is bees again, and this comes from a longer text, which I found in the New Scientist magazine. So this really is written for science, well, for sort of science, people are interested in scientists. Now, the first sentence of the text is this. This was sentence number 1, and quite a long text. A draft version of the honeybee genome has been made available to the public, a move that should benefit bees and humans alike. Now, this is sentence number 2 in the same text, and I've underlined the words that are repeated from the first sentence, or sentences 2 and 3. Honeybee, honeybee, honey, human. You see, but what it does is it binds the text together. What the writer's doing, expanding on that original statement by picking up ideas, repeating them, reproducing them. And then sentence 11, further down the text, repeats words also from sentence 1. In other words, the 11th sentence in the text harks back to the first sentence in the text, the genome's publication. It's not exact repetition, because you've got made available to the public here that becomes publication. The genome has been made available to the public, the genome's publication. Good news, well, that is a synonym of benefit. But be and alike, and then the very last sentence of the text, they're still repeating material that was introduced way back in the first sentence. So this seems to be good writing, is the ability to pick up ideas and run with them, and not being afraid of repetition, because that can help hold the text together. So this is another feature of a text that you might want to sensitize students to. Let's move on. Reference very quickly then. Using text, another feature of cohesion in text is how text cross-refer. Sentences refer back to previous sentences, either through repetition or through devices like pronouns. There, what does there refer to? The first red there. Honeybees are an elaborate language of dance to pass and use about today. Honeybees, okay, more solid.